everyone, and welcome back to another episode of That's So Matthew. Today, we are continuing Twilight month with the third movie in the saga, which is Twilight Eclipse. And I am so excited because I have a first-time guest on the podcast, but a longtime friend. Maggie, say hi, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Maggie. I'm one of Matthew's friends.
And this is the Maggie. This is the Maggie that inspired Twilight month. Maggie, how do you feel knowing that you inspired this?
Honestly, I can't remember telling you to ever do it, but I'm glad that you're doing it. So
it was like at lunch one day, I was like jokingly, I was like, what if I did a Twilight month? And I was like kind of like on the fence about it. And you were like, you should totally do it. And so I did it.
See, I don't remember that. I just remember you coming up and asking me if I wanted to do one of them. And I was like, sure.
Oh, well, that's what happened. I'm pretty sure
Well,
that's what
glad
happened.
it inspired it at least.
Yeah. So, and you also are the reason I get to watch all of the movies by giving me your DVDs. Thank you so much, because I thought they were on Netflix.
Yeah, they took them off like back in January, I think. It was really sad.
So
I don't know why they
fake.
do that.
Because truthfully, I was like, that's the only reason I did it. But Maggie came and saved the day. And Maggie has also been like trying to get me on the Twilight train for at least a year and a half.
You're welcome.
And now I'm finally on the Twilight train, and I'm very excited because Eclipse has probably been my favorite so far, because obviously if you listen to last week's episode about New Moon, you know that I absolutely did not like that movie that much. I thought it was
not good.
It's boring. The only redeeming quality is Jacob, but like that's about it.
I mean, Jacob is not a redeeming quality, but whatever you say.
Yeah, well, okay. After watching Eclipse, I am definitely back on Team Edward. So
Should be.
I'm flip-flopping around, which kind of makes me nervous because there's still 2 more movies to go, and I've heard that they're the worst ones, so I have no idea what to expect.
Okay, Jacob's gonna get worse in the next 2, so
Okay.
and they're probably my least favorite ones. So there's that.
Well, we will definitely cross that bridge when we get there, but right now let's focus on Eclipse because, like I said, the best one. You also had like the first choice of what movie to talk about, and you chose Eclipse. Why did you choose Eclipse?
I don't know. I think Eclipse has kind of just always been my favorite one to talk about because that's when like most of this stuff seems to be happening.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on in this movie. That's why I had to like go back and rewatch it, part of it last night, because I'm like short-term memory loss.
I feel
But
that.
this movie, I feel like is more, it feels like the most cinematic one yet. Like the first one felt very like indie. The
Yeah, I
second
think
one,
that's what they were going for the first one because they didn't think a lot of people were going to see it. So they decided to do more of like the indie sort of movie. And then
Yeah.
Hulu tried to copy it and it just kind of didn't really work.
but this movie felt very cinematic. I also have not read the books, so I had no idea like what was going to happen in this movie. All I know is that this is like when the vampires and the werewolves like start getting at each other's necks, and like I kind of was here for it. Like I was waiting for this since the beginning. Like I literally thought that the entire Twilight saga was literally just vampires and werewolves fighting the entire time.
I wish it was. It'd be so much better if it was, but you know, it's still good.
It is obviously still good. So honestly, let's get into our first character. I feel like I talked about Bella first last time, so let's talk about Edward first this time. In this movie, I definitely like him a lot more than I did in New Moon, but like he was barely in New Moon, so I didn't really have much to go off of. But in this movie, there's a lot going on for Edward because I don't know, like at the end he proposes to Bella at the end of New Moon. So like there is like so much like potential for him in this movie. And he also looks very, very pale in this movie, I feel like, compared to the other 2.
I feel like this is the movie where he looks the worst.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's
it was
the
just
sideburns.
weird.
The sideburns ruin it.
Okay, fair enough. It just was really weird. I was like, oh, okay, like what is going on? It's essentially this entire movie is more relationship drama between Bella and Edward.
It's the love triangle thing, this one is.
Yeah. And so obviously like Edward is like, I'm not sure I want to change you into a vampire. Like, I don't know. Like sometimes I can't tell if Edward like actually loves Bella like thus far, because I feel like he literally is like so like hot and cold with her.
Yeah, I feel like that's one thing that I really don't like about the movies is that it kind of leaves that sort of thing out. Like in the books, it's a little bit more like there and you can kind of see into their relationship better, but the movies just don't convey it as well as they probably could have.
Yeah, you are the like I think every single guest has said the exact same thing. Like the movies just don't portray like a lot of the stuff that's portrayed in the books because of the fact that it's written as a movie. And I feel like my first guest, Tori, said the exact same thing where like Edward, there's like not much going on with him in the movies compared to the books.
Yeah.
So I can't completely hate on Edward, but it's just like really weird. And then we have like the whole thing. Victoria is back in this movie. I feel like she was in the second movie though, but like she's actually like back.
She was in the second movie, like briefly.
And
And
let
then
me tell
this is
you,
the one
I
where
am
she's actually back.
so confused because she's played by a different actress in this one.
She is. I was very confused when I started watching it.
Why? Why is the
I don't
question? It's just so stupid. Like I get it. Like they wanted the character and maybe the actress like couldn't do it. But like they could have at least picked someone that looked like kind of similar.
Yeah, I think it might have worked a little bit better if the hair was right. This one, her hair is like such a weird shade of red that it doesn't match the first two movies. So it looks a lot like it makes her look so much more different than the first two when they really could have made that look a lot better.
Yeah. And so Edward and Victoria are like hand in hand. I feel like not like dating hand in hand, but like they're always like together in that sense, like the plot wise. And so Edward, we also have like the whole coven thing in this movie that Edward like calls upon them. And it's just so weird because like I was so confused like the first time watching this. I'm still a little confused with like the whole like plot of this movie, but like it's still the best one and it's really hard to explain why. It's a lot more action because you have like the whole like groups that come together and then there's like um I'm not going to say it right, like the Volteri.
The Volturi?
Yeah. I literally can never say it right. Uh, but it's just like really like weird. And then there's also like the newborn army, which I'm really confused about.
That one, that seemed really random. Like it was just kind of thrown in there.
Yeah, TBH, really confused about it, but like
It kind of makes more sense once you get to the end of the movie, but it's still kind of like, do we really need to have that in there? Because that's just kind of making it a little bit more confusing.
yeah, it was just a little special TBH because I don't really know much like about the Twilight books and movies, like obviously because this is like my first time. I'm an amateur. But we also like have this whole thing where I feel like Edward is like really into Bella during this movie, and then all of a sudden he's not. And are they in love? Are they not? What's gonna happen with Jacob? And so Edward just kind of like wasn't too bad in this movie, but like I feel like he didn't get like a standout plot line.
Yeah. Like I said, it makes more sense if you read the books. The movies don't portray it how they really should.
Yeah, definitely. I will probably be reading the books after this because like obviously I'm obsessed. So what else am I gonna do? But yeah, it's just like really confusing and I don't know. The whole Edward thing in this movie was not my favorite, but like at least he was actually in this movie.
Exactly.
Let's go to Bella Swan. So obviously Bella, as you guys know, I have been very critical of Bella in the first two episodes of Twilight Month. The first one, she gives us nothing. She gives us no emotion. There's nothing coming through. The second one is slightly better, but she's still not giving what needs to be given. This movie, I have no idea where I stand on her. I feel like she's getting better. Like, I don't know if it's like an acting choice or what is going on, but like the way to describe it is that this movie is literally just her choosing between Edward and Jacob. And it just came across really weird. Like, I feel like every
Yeah,
single movie, she's like, has this big decision to make. She has no idea what's going on. And this movie is yet another big decision.
I agree. And it's just going to keep getting worse.
Joy, I can't wait. No, like, how do you feel about Bella? Like,
It's another one of those things where it's like her character in the book is kind of similar to the movies. Like she just doesn't really do anything, but it's at least slightly written better. I don't know why they decided to portray her that way in the movie, but it doesn't convey right because she just looks so out of place in everything that's going on.
Okay, so I'm not the only one. Okay, good. Because literally, I'm just sorry, but Bella like is just not doing it for me. Like, do you think it's like an acting choice or a writing choice? Because I definitely think it's a writing choice.
I think it's more of a writing choice. I honestly can't tell because Kristen Stewart's a really good actress, so I don't know why they would have her like not do anything, because I think if it were up to her, she probably would have actually done something with the character.
Exactly. I also feel like this movie like gives her like such like a dirty plot with the whole like the choosing between the two, and like she's also worried about becoming immortal because she's going to become a vampire, which is like interesting. Like I don't know how like I'm assuming that like in the end she's probably going to be a vampire, but like I don't know how I feel about it just yet because I still have like 2 more movies to go.
Yeah.
So I will definitely make sure to fill you in once I finish what's going on, but like Bella is just not doing it. Jacob is also low-key not doing it anymore. The second movie was his breakout. The second movie I loved. I didn't love Jacob. I just thought that he was like pretty good. Like he was actually giving Bella something in the second movie. But in this movie, essentially he's just jealous the entire time. And he's like, you're marrying Edward, and then he wants to do something to stop it, but he can't do literally anything. And literally that's it.
This is the worst one for Jacob because he's very like this one and the next one and Breaking Down Part 1. He's just very insistent that he's the one that Bella should be with because he's the better choice for her. And he like can't take a hint from her that she doesn't actually like him that way. And it gets very annoying very fast.
I can already tell that I'm gonna get annoyed with him. But like in the second movie, he was like he was giving what needed to be given in the relationship. But this movie, I just didn't enjoy.
I agree.
It also just like has nothing to do with like anything, I feel like, with like his whole choosing between like the friendship. Like I feel like there's like a weird friendship, but like he's definitely getting all the wrong signs.
Yes.
And it kind of gets irritating with me because then you also have like the whole pack thing where like they're like going to try to protect her, but then it's just like he wants to like fight and he wants like I don't know. It's so weird. Like why? Like Jacob just step down. Just it's not worth it.
Really weird and confusing, that relationship. It's like he's fine being friends and then he's not, and then he wants to like try to prove himself to her, and then everything just goes wrong, and it's very weird.
And then there's also like the whole scene where he gets like injured or like half dies for a while.
That was weird. I was very kind of like confused about what was going on at that part.
Yeah, and then Bella literally is like, I choose Edward, like while he's like half dead.
Yeah, that's the perfect time to do that.
I just thought it was so funny. Like literally, as much as I love this movie, there were just parts of it that just made me like cringe, and that was definitely one of them.
I think that's the same thing with all of the movies. Like they're all pretty good. It's just like there are certain parts or like certain lines that you're just like, why would you ever do something like this? Like that looks awful.
Yeah, it was just interesting. Jacob, unsure where I sit with him at this moment in time, but a little sad about that. The Cullen family is also in this movie. They're back again for a third round. And this time they were not as creepy as the last time. I felt in New Moon that they were extremely creepy. In this movie, I thought they were just fine. They were just there.
This is their redeeming movie.
Yeah.
After New Moon.
It's just really weird. I would definitely say that if I had to pick a favorite one, it would definitely probably be like Alice, even though she used to creep me out the most.
Oh, Rosalie's my favorite. I love Rosalie.
Actually, wait, no, Rosalie. I like.
Rosalie
never mind.
is such an icon.
I wrote about her in my notes because she was like such an icon. Like I was not expecting to like have a love for Rosalie, but I just kind of did, and it just kind of happened, and I am not.
It's the tragic backstory. That's what makes you like her. So you finally understand why she's doing things.
Yeah, you know what? You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I feel like this movie also gave a lot of backstory in different spots, which was always much appreciated.
Yeah, because it's kind of like within the first little bit of, mostly in the book, the first book, you kind of understand where the Cullen family came from and like a little bit about each person. But I really liked more like the dive into Rosalie and Jasper's stories with Eclipse to kind of explain their characters a little bit better. Because they're kind of the two characters that are like just there and you don't really know why they're there. So this one kind of just gave them a bit more of a reason for being in the story.
I also love her like hair in this movie as well. Like
Her
iconic.
hair in New Moon was not it.
But no, it literally wasn't. She
You could
definitely had a
tell that was a wig
redeeming.
and it was not on good.
This was her redeeming arc, and I definitely agree. Um, yeah. And there's also like the whole thing where like Rosalie tries to have the heart to heart with Bella, which was it was cute, much appreciated.
Yes.
And then she's like, "How much are you giving up?" Like, it was kind of weird. Like, I feel like she's definitely trying to talk her out of it.
I mean, that's another thing that they explain more in the book that they don't in the movie is that she didn't want to be a vampire because she didn't choose that. And there was so much that she wanted to do with her life that she didn't get to do because she's a vampire now. So she's trying to like talk Bella out of it so she can actually live a life that she wanted to live.
Yeah, I definitely could tell like from the scene that there was like definitely a little bit of like I wish that I wasn't a vampire, but like it wasn't portrayed. Like there definitely needs to be some rewrites in my opinion of some of the stuff because it's so hard to read what's going on.
They should have just followed how it was written in the book and it would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah, but Rosalie is still an icon, obviously. So I love her. She was
Yeah.
like she's probably one of my favorites of this movie, considering that like the main three gave us nothing.
Yes.
Um, then we also have like the whole like Victoria thing, which I am not really even sure what she's doing. She's literally just trying to like kill Bella because of James. And I can't believe we're still talking about him at this point because that was like
I
two whole movies
know.
ago.
They should like why this happened technically like a year ago based on when the movies take place, but like so why do we still care about him?
No,
I
like I'm
really don't
literally getting
understand.
so bored. You can like, I'm okay with a brief spoiler. Do they drop the James thing after this?
Yes.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
At least I think they do. I don't remember him coming up again.
I literally was so like I'm so bored of it. I literally wrote in all caps in my notes, can we please get rid of James and Victoria? Because like Victoria is just so like she's a good villain like in the first like two movies kind of. Like she's giving us something, but give me more.
I agree. It's
Yeah. Um we also have like the Volteri or Voltori.
like Volturi or something like that.
Okay. Well, the V people, that's sure. That's what we'll call them. We have like the servants. The whole thing, I'm still a little confused about like what their purpose is because in the first movie they're in like Rome, but then they come in this movie and they like try to save Bella question mark, but then they're also worried about the wolves.
I don't know. All I know is that their purpose is supposed to like enforce the laws of the vampire world, which are basically just like don't let anybody know you exist. So it was like they were trying to put an end to what Victoria was doing, but they also don't like Bella. So they were like, oh, let's just let this drag on a little bit. So then they kill her and then we'll take care of it. So it's just like, it was very confusing.
Yeah, unsure really what is actually happening because it's
Like
just so confusing.
if you don't want to be exposed, then why are you letting this happen? Like something about that seems very off.
And like there's also like the whole thing where like I have no idea what's actually happening because like I feel like it's moving so fast but so slow at the exact same time.
I agree.
And then there's also like the whole like I think they're called like the La Push.
Oh, the La Push gang.
Yeah, them. What I have no clue what is happening there.
I don't know.
Kind of a vibe though. Like I kind of love how like we both are like we love this movie and then we're sitting here so confused. Like
I agree. It's interesting.
it's just kind low key a fever dream. but
It
it's
really
okay.
is.
Um,
It's a good fever dream.
no, I love it. Like, I really do. Um, then there's like the whole newborn thing. I'm not really sure. I think for the longest time, I did not understand like what they were doing, but like I think it's because like they're like the newer vampires. Is that why they're called the newborn vampires?
Yeah, I think the newborn vampires is like somebody who's been a vampire for less than a year, I think it is.
Gotcha. So I'm just gonna like be like yes and nod because I do kind of understand. But like
I mean,
it's
she wrote a whole
interesting.
separate book about that, and then they just shoved it into the movie, and we're like, this works.
Oh, really? There's a whole separate book?
Yeah, it's like it's a short book, but there's a separate book about the newborn army.
Oh, okay. I might have
It's
to like
from the
look into
perspective
it.
of that one girl at the end that they like were going to spare or whatever, and then the Volturi kill.
Okay. I don't
That's
remember her
that's why
name.
she's important in it, but they don't really explain that well in the
Oh,
movies
is it
either.
the short second life of Bree Tanner?
Yeah,
Okay. Interesting.
I haven't read it. I have it, but I haven't read it.
Okay. I will definitely look because I should just read that so I can like actually understand what's happening. If it's a short book, I mean, I'm sure I could fit it in.
I mean, I don't know how long it is, but it looks pretty short compared to like all of the other
Yeah,
books.
the other
So
ones are so big. I've seen them before, but I will definitely probably be checking them out. And also this summer, what else am I gonna have to do? I'm gonna literally be bored because I'm not gonna be at school. That's actually a lie. I'm gonna be doing a lot of stuff, but I can still read because books are knowledge.
I should reread it before I go to college so I don't have to drag them with me.
Yeah, you got to make sure that once you get to college, you meet the fellow Twilight fans.
I will. I will make sure I do. I will make sure that my roommate is a Twilight fan.
You better, and then you can just have little marathons. Like that sounds very fun for you.
It does.
It's a very Maggie thing. Yeah. So essentially, that's all for characters. Essentially, I have no idea what's going on at all in this movie, but somehow it still was the best one yet.
You don't know what's going on, but it's still the best movie you've seen out of all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, it
So
makes sense.
yeah, let's get into the plot. So the plot of this movie, again, no idea what's happening at all. But I have notes, and I think some of them are pretty funny. So I think we're just gonna get into it.
Sounds good.
It starts off with a weird scene of like the random dude walking out of like a building in the rain.
Yes.
No clue what that means. But then he like gets like this guy starts fighting with him and then he bites him. So obviously he's a vampire. So vampires are still alive. I know. In
Actually,
Twilight, you're shocked.
it wasn't just some random vampire that bit him, it was actually Victoria.
Yeah, Victoria, which
So
that girl can leave. She can go.
that.
And he's like screaming, and then he turns into a vampire, supposedly.
My question is, how did nobody like hear him screaming? I mean, I understand that maybe there's like things going on that they're not noticing it, but like if you hear somebody screaming, you know that they're in trouble. So like I really don't understand it.
Yeah, no clue. I also wrote, who is this dude in my notes because I was really confused. And then when they like told us that it was Victoria, I was like, oh, she's back. That's literally the note that I have is, oh, she's back.
I love that.
Like I knew she was going to be in this movie. Like I knew she was going to be played by a different actress, but like it still hurt because I had no interest in having her back.
It's still like, why are we still going with this? This is just getting old by this point. Why couldn't they have just killed her in the last movie?
Yeah, literally, please just get rid of her.
Let Jacob kill her. That'll be a redeeming quality for him.
We have the whole like Victoria, she's back. She wants to get rid of Bella Swan. To like because of Edward killing James, which happened literally 2 movies ago at this point. Get over
Edward
it.
didn't even kill him though.
Yeah,
it was like, Emmett, Jasper, and Alice that killed him, technically.
But obviously it's Edward's fault, and that's why we're still talking about stupid James. Like, I don't care.
Everything has to be the main character's fault, you know?
Of course. And now the guy, I believe it's the guy who was in the beginning of the movie, has created this army, and it's the newborn army.
Yes.
Which I was confused about until like maybe 15 minutes ago when I looked it up. Um, so it is very interesting. Very interesting start. We've got a little bit of a plot line going. We got Victoria, the newborn army, the whole transformation of the vampire. But now we get to a scene, and I want to ask you about this scene. I need to know your thoughts. So obviously, I feel like Bella and Edward are always literally in the freaking like meadow, the park, whatever you want to call it.
It's a meadow.
Why?
Because that's Edward's meadow where he goes to sulk.
It's just so weird. Like I feel like they're always in the meadow. Like I was texting Claire about this. I was literally like, what is happening? Why are they always in this meadow? Why? And then she's like literally laying on top of him in this meadow.
It's interesting.
That's the first note that I wrote down, or actually not the first note. It's the first note that I wrote down for the scene.
First notes.
And I was like, why is Bella on top of Edward in the field? ? Like, I'm just so like lost and confused because they're always in the meadow and they don't really like, I know he goes there to sulk, but like, it's just weird. It's weird.
I don't know. This is one of those things that we just don't question. We just go with it.
Okay. Sorry. I'm not a seasoned Twilight fan. I guess I'll just go with the meadow scenes because honestly, I feel like
I don't understand half the stuff that happens. And I'm just like, okay.
I love it. That works. So they have this whole thing, and we can't forget about the thing with the marriage, the engagement. I couldn't even think of the word.
Drop that.
And she's like, yeah, no.
That's one of those things that's just like, I really don't think that we needed that.
Like, it's kind of a girl boss move,
everything would have been fine if that didn't happen. But obviously we needed the wedding scene in the next movie.
Yeah, like, obviously.
It's just like, it was just this running thing throughout like the end of the last movie, throughout pretty much this entire movie. That was like, we could have just had something at the end of this movie and then had the wedding the next movie. We didn't need this running through the entire thing.
Yeah, I totally agree. And like, it also doesn't make any sense. Like TBH, they're like 18.
Yes.
So that's young. That's a little too young for my liking, actually.
Just a little bit.
But it's like really interesting because there's literally no like explanation as to like why she says no, but I actually wrote down this line. She goes, marriage is just a piece of paper.
I don't understand that.
But then Edward is like, in my world, it's a sign of love or something like that. I don't know what the direct quote is, but I was like, literally like, what?
That's another thing that Bella being so against getting married is another thing that's explained more in the book. And it's essentially that like she didn't want to be like her mom who got married right out of high school and then got a divorce, and she's scared that her mom will be like really mad at her if she gets married young. So like it kind of makes sense, but it's also kind of like, so you're not going to get married, but you're fully willing to become a vampire and spend the rest of your life with him.
Yeah,
something
exactly.
About that's weird.
It's weird. It is very, very weird, but I digress because that's just the beginning of where this movie gets weird. It gets weird.
It gets weirder.
And yeah. Oh, and then there's like also this line that I wrote down where Bella says, I just got knocked up, and I just thought it was funny.
That was funny.
Like obviously love to see it. The newborn army is still here. Why? Get rid of them.
They need to go. They're just annoying.
Yeah. Not my fave.
I feel like we could have had a better plot for this movie than Victoria creates an army and now we're gonna go try to kill Bella. Like, why is she always being killed? I really don't understand it.
Yeah.
Like every movie, there's somebody trying to kill her.
Yeah. Interesting choice. TBH, I feel it's an interesting choice, but this is where it gets like really funny for me personally as a non-Twilight fan, because it's like the whole thing of like people are disappearing, what is going on, but then we have like the whole vampire scene at the beginning, so we know exactly what's going on, which adds a little bit of intrigue for the viewer. Um, but then Bella's like still talking to Jacob, who's like now her bestie for the restie. And it's so weird. He like doesn't want to talk to her. And then her dad comes like out of freaking nowhere and is like, yeah, you need to start hanging out with Jacob more. Like, I think that he's a great person, a great fit for you. Even the dad is Team Jacob.
This is why we don't, this is the only instance that we don't like Charlie, is that he likes Jacob better than Edward. I mean, understandable, because Edward like left and Bella was super depressed for a month, so why wouldn't you be mad at him? But like, we don't like Jacob.
Yeah, it was just so funny. Like, even the dad is Team Jacob, which is obviously a choice for him because it's Jacob, but like, I digress. So her dad, Charlie, I'm just gonna keep calling him Charlie now because I feel like we've established to the listeners, if you're not familiar with the movie, which if you're not, then why are you listening to this? Because we're spoiling the entire thing, but I digress. They talk about like the guy earlier, I believe his name is Riley, who's been missing.
Yes.
And then Edward's like, I bet it's with the newborns, and it is just, it's so weird. So weird.
It really is.
But then like he also like stole something from Bella.
That one was like, that was weird. He just like breaks into her house and steals something, and then they're all like so concerned about it. And they're like, oh my God, I have no idea why this is happening.
Yeah, really weird. So weird. But then he also like in the middle of this, I'm pretty sure they have like a party at the Cullens. And in my note, I literally go party at the Cullens, ... after last time, question mark.
Oh, is it the graduation party?
I think so. I don't know. I think I might have wrote my notes a little out of order because that's just me. But I was so confused as to why they're having a party again, because we all remember what happened last time where Bella was nearly like killed by the vampire because she got a paper cut on wrapping paper, because that totally happens actually.
Yeah, your finger definitely bleeds a lot when you get a paper cut.
Yeah, so weird. So weird. So random. Then
They're not concerned about that anymore.
Alice is, she's back, obviously, Queen Alice and her visions. She has like this vision of Victoria like coming back, and then they're like trying to keep Bella safe, and then the pack goes after Victoria, which is a choice.
Yeah.
I don't really understand at this point what's going on, but like, I don't care. Let's keep going. Then we have like Emmett Cullen is about to go onto the territory of the tribe, which I'm not even going to try to pronounce.
I think it's the Quileutes or something like that.
Quileute. That's what we're going to go with.
I think that's what it is. I can't remember.
Then we kind of have like this whole like confrontation between the wolves and the Cullens, and then Victoria runs away. She gets away, which is not fair because this girl just needs to go.
See, that just makes me mad because it's like, I understand that you hate each other. I understand that he's like on your land technically, but like, deal with the matter at hand before you start fighting about this. Otherwise, this whole movie could have been avoided if they just killed her then.
I really just wish they got rid of her.
They should have.
But again, I digress.
We could have had some other near-death experience for Bella other than Victoria coming back again. This has been going on too long.
Truly. Then Bella finds out that Jacob and Edward had like this little argument, and then Victoria's back, which is joyful. Yeah. Then it's just so weird because then Edward's like, Bella, you're not safe. And then Jacob's like, no, the wolves would never harm you. We love you. XYZ. And like, so weird.
It is.
Then we have like the Bella goes down to La Push, and then Jacob is like, I love you. And then they kiss.
The best part of that is when she just punches him. I used to have a sticker of that on my water bottle of that scene of her punching him. It was my favorite part of the whole movie.
I mean, it's so funny. It's so freaking funny to me. I don't know
It really
why.
is.
Like, just amazing. Just 10 out of 10. Um,
What's amazing is that Jacob can't seem to take a hint. She punches him, and then he's like, "Oh, I still love you." And I was like, "Okay, good
no.
for you."
Yeah, no, we're done with you. And then this scene is so funny where like Edward is like saying he'll break Jacob's jaw if he ever tries to kiss Bella again, which is so funny.
It is.
Like Jacob is getting a lot of hate at this point, but it's okay.
Which is good because we hate Jacob, but
Yeah, low key, I'm not vibing with him anymore.
See, this is the movie. This is the reason why you should hate Jacob. Is this movie?
Well, that's the thing. I hadn't seen this movie, so I was like oblivious to his stupidity, I guess. But now I know. I'm learning.
That's good.
Let's see. Then Rosalie kind of like talks about her experience to become immortal, to become a vampire. And then Bella is like, I actually prefer to be a vampire over a human. And then Rosalie tells this whole story. And it's kind of cute. I kind of love the little heart to heart.
Yeah. Because I mean, all you kind of get from the first movies is that you shouldn't like Rosalie because Rosalie doesn't like Bella. But it's like you never get an explanation as to why until you get to this movie.
Yeah. I actually like Rosalie in this movie a lot.
Rosalie is the best character.
Oh my God, I skipped over a whole section of my notes. We need to go back really quick.
I can't believe it.
Let's see. There was the younger, like Clearwater Boo Boo Stewart from the Descendants movie in this movie.
Oh my God, I forgot about him.
He looked very hot in this movie, but I also did not know it was Boo Boo Stewart. And then I was like, wait, is that Boo Boo Stewart?
Matthew, he's supposed to be like 14 in this movie.
Okay, well, I didn't know that. So
that's a little concerning.
What else? And then there's also the scene where Jacob gets punched where he's like, I can give you more than him. No, done. Go away. And she also sprains her hand from the punch. Really confused.
Yeah. I really don't understand that one.
And then the next note is literally I heart Rosalie. So there we go. Now we're all caught up to speed, guys. Sorry about that. How could I forget the lovely commentary that I had?
Exactly.
Then the Volturi. Yeah. The Volturi is back and they are upset with the newborn army.
They're back and better than ever.
Of course, obviously. And I'm still very confused about what they're doing, but I don't really care because it's a good movie. He's like, you guys need to control yourselves because apparently they have no self-control because they're new vampires.
Yeah. Basically, they're supposed to like shut down stuff like that when things like that start happening, but they're also like, oh, well, their motive is to like kill Bella. So they're like, if you can control them, then we'll let you keep doing this because we don't like her. And it's like, this just something about this is very confusing. And I don't know what exactly it is, but
yeah, it's interesting. Skipping ahead a little bit, we have the graduation scene. Jessica gives her graduation speech. They have the party at the Cullens house, even after the disaster of last time.
Yeah, they're not concerned about Jasper trying to kill anybody anymore, I guess.
Jacob crashes the party with some friends. Then Alice has a vision about the newborn army because they're still relevant somehow. And
relevant still.
Then Bella's like, oh my gosh, the newborn army is being controlled by Victoria. OMG. Then the Volturi has like, they know this and they're basically like going to destroy the Cullens because apparently it's all the Cullens' fault.
Yeah.
No clue why.
I think one of the things that they said in one of the books, I can't remember which one, is that the Cullens are like the largest coven next to the Volturi. So they're like starting to see them as a threat because now they're planning on adding another person, which would be Bella. So they're like seeing them as this threat. So they want to get rid of them so they don't have to deal with them anymore or something.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. See, this is why I'm having Maggie on the podcast, because you actually know what's going on.
Kind of.
Yeah, kind of. I also kind of know what's going on.
Understand it.
Let's see. Oh my God. This scene is so weird. Okay. This is the scene where Bella like essentially wants to have sex with Edward.
Oh my God.
So
this
cringy.
Scene kills me every time I watch it.
I was not expecting it. It was kind of out of the blue.
It happens so randomly.
And she's like,
we really didn't need this, but
like, okay, before I become a vampire, I want to do it with you. And it's so awkward. I literally was like cringing.
It's hard to watch.
And yeah. He's like, we'll do it in the future, but as long as we're married. Then we also can't forget her accepting the proposal like this late in the movie.
That dragged on. See, they should have just like put it like here in the movie. Like instead of dragging it out through the whole thing of her being like, no, I don't want to marry you. Just have him propose here one time and have her say yes.
I agree. Didn't need
this whole thing.
Look at this rant. Love to see it. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, and then there's an engagement ring from his mother.
Oh, the ring is ugly.
Yeah, it's not cute.
I hate that. Apparently, it doesn't look in the movies how it was supposed to look in the book. But I've seen somebody made a version of the ring based on how it's described in the book, and it looks a lot worse.
Oh, okay.
Like instead of just being kind of like flat, it's like actual like diamonds like sticking out of it, and it's so ugly, and I don't know why you'd ever want to wear something like that.
Fair enough. Yeah, it was just not good.
Needing to make it look old-fashioned, but like you didn't need to go that far.
Yeah, it was kind of ugly.
It wasn't kind of ugly, it was really ugly.
Yeah, agreed. TBH. Then we also have the big battle that's coming up. So Edward and Bella are camping out. Jacob comes. Then Jacob like warms her up because it's like freezing, which is really weird.
You can't forget the tent scene.
Oh, the tent scene. What was that?
I did not like that.
There was a lot of times I was questioning my liking of this movie.
It's like it's the best movie, but it's still like, why is half this stuff happening?
We have Bella sleeping. And then there's like she like hears this conversation, and it's interesting. It's a choice.
It is.
Then Jacob is supposed to hear Edward and Bella talking about their engagement, and then he's like, I'm going to join the fight because I want you to love me, because apparently that's how you get someone to love you.
Apparently.
Take notes, everyone. It's so random. I'm very confused. And then Bella like gives a reason so that he wouldn't do it. And then he's like, that's not good enough. And then she's like, kiss me. And then they kiss each other. And
so much.
Why? What is happening?
Not even a kiss. They full on make out. And I'm like, sis, you're engaged. What are you doing?
Sis, you're engaged. No, literally, what is happening? Like, I literally thought that Edward and Bella were like here to stay. And then 2 seconds later, make out with Jacob.
It's so annoying. Honestly, by this point, I would have just been like, okay, go join the fight.
Yeah, bye. Me too. Like, Jacob was annoying me. Then Edward finds out about the kiss because he reads Jacob's mind, which
that's not awkward.
That is totally not awkward at all. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, bad, not good. Then we also have the Cullens and the Wolves fighting the army. It's really weird. Yep. Victoria finds Bella and there's some biting.
I love how they put so much effort into this plan of like, oh, she's never gonna find you. And then they're like, oh wait, she followed Edward's scent. Oh no. We did not see this coming.
Bella distracts them with cutting herself. Kind of a cringe part, but I guess necessary.
My question is, how did she like, okay, she like cuts herself kind of by her, like her inner elbow, but her shirt's covering it. So like, how did she do that? And then later when Edward like wraps it up, he like wraps up her forearm. It's not even where she cut it.
It's weird. It was kind of weird and cringy. I wasn't not too sure what was going on.
Choices were made.
Yeah, not the right choices, but choices. Then the Volturi come and like try to kill the rest of the people, and then Bree Tanner, who is the one I guess that the book was written about, the mini book.
Yep.
Then it's really weird, and Bella has not become a vampire yet, but then they're like, we're gonna transform you. I still don't understand why she really wants to be a vampire so bad, but like, I'm not gonna judge you.
Know. This is her first relationship, and she's like, yeah, I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with you for forever. And I was like, not to agree with Jacob, but like, maybe you shouldn't do that.
Yeah, unsure what is even happening.
You've only been alive for 18 years, and this is the biggest choice of your life, and you're deciding to do this. Like, maybe try to figure some other stuff out first.
Yeah, and then we can't forget Jacob being like half dead. And then like Carlisle and Sam are like taking care of him. And then Bella is like, I still love you, but I'm choosing Edward. So dramatic.
That was the perfect time to do it. He's in the middle of like getting better, and she's like, yeah, I don't want to be with you anymore. You could have told him this such a long time ago, and you're choosing now to do it.
Very, very dramatic. And then he's like, okay, I won't try and get in the way anymore. But I feel like he definitely is going to.
He will.
And how could we end the movie without a meadow scene?
Exactly. We need to have the meadow, Matthew.
The meadow, the meadow is back. And it's really weird. She's like, I belong with you. I belong to be a vampire. It's so cringy.
See, that's another thing that I don't really like about the movie, is that it kind of makes it sound like she just wants to be a vampire for no other reason than being a vampire. But like in the book, her like sole purpose for being a vampire is because she wants to be with Edward. So it kind of makes the movie makes it seem like she loves Edward, but she really doesn't care. She just wants to be immortal.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the plan. Like, I don't think that she cares at all, which makes me sad, like low key, because I feel like this entire movie she's been like, I love you, Edward. Wait, no, I don't. I love Jacob. Wait, no, I actually love Edward. Like, girl, make up your mind.
I hate the love triangle plots. They're so bad.
And yeah, she tells Charlie about the engagement.
You don't even get to see that in any of the movies.
So
it's
weird.
So sad. I would love to have seen that.
And then it's so weird. And then basically they are hugging in the meadow, and then the movie's done.
Yay.
Good song. I am so confused. But before we rate this movie, we need to talk about the soundtrack, because
yes,
every single Twilight soundtrack has popped off, and I hope that it continues to for the last two.
It will. My favorite soundtrack is Breaking Dawn Part 1. So there's that.
But you also said that's your least favorite movie, right?
It's my least favorite movie, but it has the best soundtrack.
Okay. I am looking forward to it. I was listening to the new moon one a couple days ago, and I was definitely into it.
Love that.
But yeah, the soundtrack of this movie just makes me feel like I'm such like this indie, like I'm actually like in Seattle area.
Yes.
Great choices, great score. I loved it, honestly. Like the movie, all of them so far, the stuff has like really added to it.
It really has. They made some choices with the music, and they were actually the right choices this time.
Yeah,
some of the choices they made weren't right, but the music ones were.
Agreed. Like 100%. Rating of this movie. So the first one, I believe I gave it a 7.
How can you only give it a 7, Matthew?
Wait, no, I think I gave it an 8. Wasn't it? I think it was an 8.
8's better.
The second one, I believe I gave a 6. Maybe even a 5 or a 6, because that one sucked.
Understandable.
It sucked so bad. This movie, I'm giving it a 7.5. It's almost an 8, but the problem is I'm so confused.
I'll give it an 8 because I kind of understand what's going on, but like,
it's definitely a movie that even though I've already watched it like a couple times, might have to watch it again to fully understand what's happening.
This isn't a series that you have to like read the books to fully understand what's going on. Like you can kind of figure out what's happening based on just watching the movies, but the books kind of just like reinforce everything and give you more information so you actually understand it better.
Okay, so that means that I will definitely be adding the books to my to read list because
you should.
I need it. I need to like I need some clarification. But this has been an amazing episode, and obviously I've been telling the listeners that you were coming for weeks because you were the reason of Twilight Month, and like also you've been telling me to get on the Twilight train for so long, and I finally did.
Well, because we were gonna watch them like last summer with our friend group, and then none of us ever had time to do it. So
yeah, but now look at us thriving, and I can also officially say
Twilight on the podcast.
Like the Twilight episode, only one of them is out right now. That Twilight episode has performed twice as well as every single episode for the past 2 months.
Well, there's that. That's good.
So I'm assuming for Twilight Month, I'm just gonna be vibing and thriving, and I still have 2 more episodes coming out with 2 of my close friends, Bethy talking about Breaking Dawn Part 1, and then Breaking Dawn Part 2 with my friend Abby. So I think it's going to be a great rest of the month. And this is also like the mid-month check-in. Like I'm enjoying Twilight, little confused. I've got the spirit. I think it'll get better.
I think if you watch them, they'll get better because
Okay.
You'll actually understand it better.
And obviously I need to thank Maggie for giving me the DVD set and graciously letting me take my time. Because originally when you gave it to me, I was going to watch them all in like a weekend and just take notes.
I mean, that'd take up 10 hours of your time, but you know,
I mean, and
whatever.
also there's also like the whole fact that like you said you have like another DVD set, so I felt less bad.
I have 2. I have the one that I gave you, and then I have like a Twilight Forever version that has separate discs for the movies, and then with like all the bonus features and stuff for all the movies.
Okay, I love it so much. So thank you so much for thank you so much for making this month happen, I guess. It's all because of you. And thanks for coming on the podcast. I know you were like a little nervous, I think, but I think it was amazing.
Thank you for having me. I had a lot of fun.
Yes. And I am very glad that we talked about Eclipse because this was definitely my favorite one yet. I'm a little nervous about the last 2, but I think that the guests will make up for the badness.
They're not bad. Horrible, but they're not great. So there's that. I'm just excited to hear Abby's thoughts on the Breaking Dawn Part 2 last scene.
Me too. And I also feel like I need to do
the climax scene.
A like reflection bonus episode where I reflect on all the episodes of Twilight Month because lots of thoughts.
Lots of things happen.
Yeah. Thank you everyone so much for checking out this episode of the podcast. I hope everyone enjoyed listening to our thoughts on Twilight Eclipse. Stay tuned for 2 more Twilight episodes, Breaking Dawn Part 1 and 2 coming in the next 2 weeks. And check out the New Moon and first Twilight episodes wherever you get your podcasts. And stay tuned for a new episode again next week. Bye.